Original Firefighter is the podcast and apparel brand that celebrates the heritage and traditions of the American Fire Service. Join us each week for lively discussions that aim to inspire, educate, and entertain, all in the effort to support mental health and well-being for first responders. Please subscribe, hit that bell, and follow us wherever you listen. Let's get into the show. Well, folks, welcome to the Original Firefighter podcast. And as you can see from the sunglasses, we've decided to go prime time. I think we're ready for that. Yeah, what, Phil? We got Phil back in the studio with us. How you doing, Phil?
I'm good. I'm doing my best Ted Kaczynski impersonation here. I just need a hoodie on, and we're ready to rock and roll.
I started using this computer instead of doing like a printout of the script, and I was like, man, it's a little bright. So I was like, oh, maybe if you're gonna wear sunglasses, I'll wear sunglasses.
Sounds good.
I probably won't do it. I'm gonna probably go back to my regular glasses. Otherwise, nobody will see anything.
No,
Phil. Great to have you in the studio.
Thanks. I thought the sunglasses would be good with this mustache that I'm trying to.
Yeah, you guys are sporting them.
Grow out here. Yeah, I think it's coming in.
Yeah,
it's coming in good.
Yeah,
I thought I'd keep it until FDIC, so I look like a real fireman at a fireman convention.
Is that right? I'm just gonna get a fake one.
Yeah.
Right. It'll be Original Firefighter with fake mustaches.
Yeah, I wasn't able to grow one for the longest time. It didn't grow in the center here. I think that's the Mexican in me. A lot of Mexicans can't grow in the center. But now it's finally coming in. I think that's the European in me coming in now. So I like it.
I've seen some posts lately of our fellow firefighters. Like we got Mustache Man out there, Guthrie.
Oh,
he's got a
legend.
Yeah,
that guy's a legend with that stash.
Yes.
Oh my God, for the longest time he never had one, and then probably 5 years ago now he started growing, and it's just Dude rocks a solid mustache.
I don't know if they ever went away because maybe I just didn't pay attention, but now it seems like mustaches are coming back.
I think overall in society, it's just a popular thing. It's
kind of a
hipster.
Well, the hipster, right? Yeah, but like, and so obviously, people who have full beards.
Yeah.
And I think that is a thing for sure. But firefighters, because they can't all have, a lot of have restrictions. You don't have a good seal to your face, so beards are typically not allowed. But they're bringing the mustaches back.
Yeah,
it's what I'm noticing.
I'm down for it. Yeah, I mean, I think most firemen would have beards if they could.
Yeah,
we can't. So
all right, you keep your sunglasses on, looking great. I'm gonna switch on to my other regular glasses just so I can make sure I can see what we're doing here, because what we have today is a few segments, and we're going to go space, controversy, and community. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff, but it is great to have you, as always, rocking the Elvis in the house look. What do you think about that? We have 2 astronauts back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right?
SpaceX.
Go America.
Go. Yeah.
Right? Go America. So these 2 astronauts, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, they just returned back to Earth March 18th. So I believe that for us it'd be Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So March 18th they returned. They splashed down off Florida, and they went up on June 5th of 2024. They were supposed to go up for 8 days.
Yeah.
And they ended up being up there for 9 months.
It's crazy. Crazy.
Could you imagine telling like your wife or your girlfriend or whatever and being like, hey, honey, I'm going off with my friends for a week vacation.
Well, they were just talking
9 months later.
The NASA director too, or the acting director, whatever she is, and they kind of pushed it up a month even, so they got them back a month earlier, which is awesome. And I know there's a lot of controversy with Tesla and Elon Musk. And,
we're going to get into that here in a minute.
All that stuff, but thanks SpaceX for that one. Appreciate that.
Right. Well, what's
Elon
interesting?
For the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so here's some of the facts is that they went up on a Boeing Starliner. Okay.
Boeing. Let's not go down that path.
Well, that's who's making the Starliner. So they went up into the Starliner capsule, and that failed. They're supposed to return in that, and it failed. Apparently, there was they had some nitrogen tanks that were leaking, and they didn't want to, put humans back in that capsule and have them return to Earth. Now, they did bring that capsule back unmanned. Basically they returned it remotely, I'm assuming. And hey, newsflash, I'm not a rocket scientist. So clearly.
But I did stay at a Holiday Inn
But I
Express.
did have sunglasses on to start the episode. So we got that going for us. But then, so they go up in a Starliner. And I just thought that was kind of interesting is that it, I can only imagine that they're all vying to try to be the premier leaders into space, these private companies.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because, basically NASA over time is, trying to wean off of the government's, paycheck and figure out how to make this, privatized, corporate. They're talking about putting people, like just average people like you and I, we can pay, I don't know, $10,000 and go up into space.
Well, vacation.
Yeah. Go to, yeah.
Spacecation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Total Recall.
Yeah.
Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. Anyways, that was a really bad Arnold
It wasn't great.
impression. Yeah.
It wasn't great.
Get to the chopper.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
Yep. Yeah. Stick around. Okay. So they go up in a Boeing Starliner, and then it ends up being a SpaceX Dragon capsule that brings them back. And so you gotta. Sorry, Boeing, but SpaceX is kind of kicking your ass right now.
Yeah, you had your chance.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just the whole, I guess I was just, trying to dig into some of the thoughts on Elon Musk's influence on the NASA missions. You brought up the controversy. So they end up being up there for 9 months. Apparently, when you spend that much time up in space, there's a lot of shit that happens to your body while you're up there.
A lot of atrophy and
cellular. You get arterial hardening, your sight, your eyes change. Yeah. And so you can have some, again, I don't know if this stuff is how it is permanent or not.
Right.
You got to think that the more exposure that you are to something, then there could be some permanency there.
Yeah.
Bone density, I guess they lose a ton of that.
I think the body's pretty resilient, though, right? I mean, if it goes one way, it's going to adapt and go the other way. It's going to take time, but
yeah. So, anyways, I don't know, but pretty cool that we finally got them back, and to have them come back, we'll say for now remotely unharmed.
Yeah,
it's a good win for us. But it is interesting to dig into it a little bit and see that there was some opportunity apparently to get them back earlier, and they didn't want to do that. When I say they, it sounds like the Biden administration pushed back, and for whatever reason they didn't want to bring him back at an earlier time. And I don't think that I'm going to go down this road where they wanted to abandon them in space. No. I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was just a very political point in time. Elon Musk is saying that they could have brought him back several months earlier. And apparently there's this astronaut from Denmark, Mogensen, a former SpaceX astronaut. He posted, quote, "What a lie," and from someone who complains about lack of honesty from the mainstream media. And then Elon replied back to Mogensen and said, "You are fully retarded. SpaceX could have brought them back several months ago. I offered this directly, all in caps there, to the Biden administration, and they refused. Return was pushed back for political reasons. Idiot." So Elon wasn't having it.
Yeah. I think you say he's from Denmark?
Yeah.
Oh, they're just angry because we're going to take Greenland. That's it. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Denmark. They already voted independence for them. Soon to be the territory of the United States. I'll take it.
Although I thought that the most touching moment was, I thought it was really cool that Elon Musk sent a bunch of dolphins to greet them back on Earth. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, it's great. So they splash down, and they got these 3 big parachutes. They splash down, and before, or as they're, as whatever boats are coming up to get them out of the capsule, the whole area is just full of dolphins.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I saw that on, I'm like, that's kind of nice of Elon to send the dolphins.
They have that Neuralink, so he was mind controlling them. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
We just keep winning.
He started with dolphins, and then he's going to go to sea bass.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Really angry sea bass. So, anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, everything is political. Yeah.
Sure.
And if this is true, and it'll be interesting to see what these two astronauts have to say, if they even are willing to address it, or if they just get better and have hopefully there's a ticker tape parade for them. I think that they've earned it.
Yeah.
I go back to, I can't imagine that you tell your family, hey, I'll see you in a week or 10 days or whatever. And then it's 9 months later, and it's got to be pretty grueling.
There's two things that really scare me. Deep sea, right? Ocean.
Yeah.
And space.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good here on land. I like this. This is the known. You get up to space, ever expanding, dark, no sound. Like, I'm good.
Right.
Underwater, you don't know what's down there. We've only explored what? 10%? I don't know.
It's a very small,
small number of what we actually know.
Yeah. We've explored less of space as well. If you think about
even less
in
of
magnitude.
Space. Yeah. I'm good.
Well, you just described two places that basically we have to move heaven and earth to even exist in those places.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly we're not meant to be there, but we go there. That's the genius of human.
Yeah.
It's for all the negative and the, just the meanness that's out there in so many places. And then you think about the fact that we have been able to go to places we probably, shouldn't go.
Yeah.
Not that we shouldn't go. It's just to have the capability to do it. Like I said, you got to really actually move heaven and earth to make it happen.
So you believe we went to the moon?
Are we doing that on every episode?
We still haven't really gotten into it.
I'm not going there. We went to the moon.
All right.
We have a flag up there.
Sure we do.
We own that too.
Look, you can look at a telescope and see footsteps still.
The moon of America.
You can see the footprints. Okay. It's a hologram.
Controversies live on. Anyways, glad to know that they are back. Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, great job. Amazing to just survive and live that out. And then, I'm sorry, but good on SpaceX.
Yeah.
And
that's the secondary story, right? The primary story is they're back home.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Everything else is noise. Push the noise out. Thanks, SpaceX. Great job. You did your job.
Yeah.
Move on, right? They're back home. That's the story. That's it. Nothing else. It doesn't matter who got them back here. They're back. Done.
But okay, but it does matter. I like what you just said. I'm just going to push back. Is that it does matter though if it was turned political.
Sure.
If it had never turned political, then at that point it would have been like, how about if we all come together collectively and rescue these people and let's just get it done?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not in that place anymore.
We're not. And I'll bring up something else, but to that point, the idea that we can't come together and just, out of the good of humanity, forget the politics, forget the agendas. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't that be something that would bring, we're always looking for something today to bring us together as a society, as our culture here in America. And we have multiple cultures in America. That's what makes us special, is that we're supposed to be a bunch of cultures that can live on one, land and make it work. It's, it's what they keep saying. It's the great experiment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I don't know, if you take the temperature, it's like, are we succeeding? Are we failing? We can't even just go get two people and say, hey, you weren't supposed to be up in space for this long. Yeah. Let's get you back home.
We did this. The collective we.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're beyond that.
It makes me wonder. So, you know who Gordon Graham is?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, does a lot of TED Talks and, different types of, seminars.
Does he do like the ancient civilizations or history kind of stuff?
He used to be he worked out on the West Coast. I think he was with like LA City. He's a detective.
Oh, okay. Way off then.
Oh yeah. So you don't know. Okay. Yeah. but he's I've seen a lot of his seminars. I've never actually sat in a live one, but I've watched a lot of his videos. He just put out another video recently. I think it was something that he did out of a seminar, but he was basically saying the gist of it was keep politics out of the firehouse.
Oh, okay.
And that immediately I wondered, I'm like, is that even possible anymore?
No.
So yeah, go ahead.
Our job is political, right? I mean, we have to be politically active. Our wages are based on it. Our staffing is based on it. We have to be political. We have to support those that support us. So unfortunate end of the day, like, yeah, do I have to get into arguments about politics in the firehouse? No, but our job is political, unfortunately, and it shouldn't be. But it shouldn't be. But it has to be, to your point, right? Yeah. I mean, that's both sides of the table. If you're labor, if you're administration, if you're in the midst of the collective bargaining. What do we do, right? You guys, and you're heavily involved in this right now. You're the union secretary. Yes.
So you basically spend your time as a lieutenant, on the line, and then you put your gear away and you get off the fire truck, and then you go to the other side. You're not going to the other side. You're on that side, but you're hanging up your helmet and you're jumping into the politics probably almost every day. Yeah. To some degree, right?
Yeah. I just recently got back from Washington, D.C. for the legislative conference out there.
Right.
And I know we've got a group going down to Springfield next week for the legislative conference down there. We have to be politically active. I think we do a good job at that.
See, that's what I wanted to talk about for a minute in this segment was, and I respect Gordon Graham. I think anybody that's listening or watching, you should actually attend one of his seminars or at least just, pull up some of his videos, and he's got some good things to say.
Yeah.
He's very intelligent, well-spoken. He is basically, a big proponent of like leadership and owning your situation. That's not a new concept. There's a lot of stuff like that that's out there, but he does it in a good way, in a funny way.
Yeah.
But then he has this latest one where he's talking about keep politics out of the firehouse. And it made me pause and go, I don't know that that's possible. I mean, what are the things that you're not supposed to do on duty? You're not supposed to gamble.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not supposed to drink.
You're not supposed to drink.
No hookers or blow.
No hookers or blow.
Those are bad.
You're not supposed to.
Thanks for ruining that, Chicago.
Right. You're not supposed to do anything that causes bad image or harm to the organization. Right. We'll get into that here in a second too. But I think to keep politics out of the firehouse. Maybe not everybody goes as granular as say I do or some of us at Original Firefighter is. We're trying to have a conversation about what we think is being discussed at the firehouses at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
That's our platform. This is what firefighters talk about. We don't sit around and talk all the time about structure fires.
Yeah.
And medical calls and shootings and hazmat. I mean, it's fun. I'll have that conversation all day long. But when people are sitting around they're not sitting around, they're running their asses off. When people are working together for 24 hours, some people work a 48-96 shift.
Oh God, I wouldn't.
Yeah, they're together for 48 hours, Yeah. What do you think they're going to talk about?
Everything and anything.
Everything and anything, yeah. And it's like, okay, so we started off the show today and we said, hey, I want to address this, these astronauts coming back. And I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a win for America. I think we should be just very proud right now.
Yeah.
Because what's the alternative? We always end up gravitating towards the negative, right? You look at the news cycle, and if you look at a 30-minute segment of NBC Nightly News, and you reduce that down to take the commercials into it, so you got about 24 minutes of actual reporting, right? Journalistic reporting.
Oh yeah.
How of 24 minutes, how much of it is positive news?
The last minute and a half, maybe.
Because you gotta send us off with a feel good, make my heart feel good, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So we spend, and that's just examining a half-hour journalistic news program, and it's mainstream, of course. It's legacy news, and they're rightfully on the hook for being pretty bad right now.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is that there's so much negative out there. So if we don't take the few good things and boost them up and push them to the top, it's like we're always burying ourselves with negativity.
Yeah. That's the point.
But it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right?
Shouldn't be. We don't want people happy. We don't want people, healthy. We don't want people positive. Break people down, keep people fighting, so you keep control.
So you think that's calculated?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's called fear porn. Get your fear up. You just can't get enough of it. What? Oh, what? What's next? I'm going to watch this. No, I need to know more about this. And you go down that rabbit hole. That's all it is. It's fear-inducing, and then you're afraid to go outside, afraid to do anything.
How positive? So if so much is negative, is that what fire departments represent to their home communities? Is that a reflection of some positivity in their community when they see the red shiny trucks and like we just had the St. Patrick's Day parade?
Yeah,
our honor guard is out there looking polished, looking great. The community is standing on the sides or clapping. That's a positive moment.
Yeah,
in their lives. And does the fire department play that role for our community members?
I believe so. I think most people look at the fire department and look at it in a positive light, right? Even though we respond to the negative, the results are typically positive at the end of it, right? Whether it's a structure fire, a medical call, we get that patient to the hospital, they get that long-term care and turn that life around. We go to the fire, we put the fire out, we rescue dogs, cats, people, stop the progression of that fire, we save the property. So I think it is. I think, and then anything extra we can do that doesn't start negative, that's always a positive, whether it's parades, whether it's, fire station tours for classrooms or firefighter day, or I know we even do something where first day of school, there's, one kid gets to ride to school in the fire truck. If we can take advantage of those, that makes that positive outlook even better. Unfortunately, it's not the same for police, right? When people call 911 for police, someone's going to jail. When people call for us, we are literally there to help everyone there, not just certain people.
Right.
So I think overall, we are the positive outlook, that people might need sometimes, and hopefully we can do that change. But we need to remember that ourselves, because at 2:00 in the morning, when I'm going on my 15th call for the shift, and it's for foot pain or arm pain, right? Remember why I took this job.
Yeah.
Remember why I took that oath, and not make that a negative interaction that now someone has that negative outlook on us because maybe I didn't treat them the way they maybe felt they should have been treated, and put it that bad vision of us in that person, because then that can spread too. So,
yeah, I mean, sometimes we don't help ourselves, right?
Right.
We get
our own worst enemy sometimes.
Right. But what I think is interesting is that we put this very polished look out, forward facing to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of times in the show, like we'll talk about, some of the mental, the weight that, kind of comes onto our shoulders, and we carry around a lot of calls and a lot of situations, right? And we talk about that a lot in this show. One of the other things, though, since we're having this conversation about the politics of life right now, and just kind of bringing that into the fire department. The community also does not see the political fight that goes on behind the scenes. You know, we're always putting the best foot forward.
Right.
And we're trying to, making sure that the front of the building and the fire truck looks polished and clean and beautiful and all these things. But there is pretty much a constant fight of some sort behind the scenes, behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of come back around to, Gordon Graham going, keep politics out of the firehouse. And I'm like, I don't think that is possible.
No.
I push back and say, I don't even know how you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from saying, well, I think that we should, be training all the time so that you can't talk about politics or, what are you going to do? You're going to say, hey, you're not allowed to talk about politics at the kitchen table. I'll bet you that lasts about 7 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, there are times maybe where things start getting a little heated. It's like, hey, we're done. We're done for the day, right? We're done talking about that. And as, someone in your position or my position, we have to make sure that it doesn't escalate to a point where there's no coming back from certain things, right?
Oh, no.
So
yeah.
I disagree with him saying we shouldn't talk about it, but I agree at some point maybe we have to stop that conversation, at least for the time being, and, cooler heads prevail, and we
well, it
can
really
get
shouldn't
back to
matter.
a conversation.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter what the conversation's about. You should always be using, be polite, have some decorum, and don't go over the cliff,
Right.
and say the bad words.
Yeah, but politics is that politics is that one though, right? I mean, it
ramps you up.
Conversations, and I know I get into them, and I never get angry. If anything, if I'm passionate about it, but I'm not angry. I would love to talk to people and pick their brains, right? Some of my best friends.
I don't think I go into any conversation attempting to change somebody's mind at this point.
No.
I find them all to be interesting conversations.
Yeah.
Here's
something to pass the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just to, a little bit more to lean on, we go back between having a conversation here about Elon Musk and SpaceX and all the things that are going on in our political world right now, and then the idea of like, can you keep politics out of the firehouse? I don't think that you can. Even if others say that, well, we shouldn't, or that's what we should be doing, is we should try to figure out some other conversation. You know what pisses me off is that we don't hardly even have a conversation anymore. Everybody's on their phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would argue like, hey, if you guys are sitting around having a conversation, again, as long as you're appropriate, you're not using bad language towards one another, and you're not pissing everybody off, and you get into a brawl. I mean, first of all, I think that you're stupid for even, if you can't manage that kind of attitude of yourself. If you're going to get so pissed off, you're going to go take a swing at somebody, you don't belong there to begin with.
Have some self-control.
Have some self-control. So the latest so we got the good side, right? We got the SpaceX. They go up, they get the astronauts, everything goes well, they're back home. So that's a great thing. And I thought that was funny too this past week, where everyone's celebrating, which is great. But you're celebrating a company that Elon Musk owns, while at the same time you're burning his vehicles and damaging his stores across America.
Yeah.
All in protest of the person that you're not probably cheering Elon Musk. You're probably cheering the fact that we got him back, right?
Situation.
Yeah. So I'm, just wanting to make sure that, I'm not saying, hey, people out there celebrating one individual.
Yeah.
But that individual is a pretty special individual who founded SpaceX, who's founded, Tesla, and basically saved free speech by buying Twitter, and now it's X. Everything's X.
I mean, there's still restrictions, not free speech, but yeah, it's better than it was. It's better, right? Yeah,
I appreciate that.
That's a nice win, but yeah, it's not free speech.
So basically right now, so in Las Vegas, they experienced an arson attack where several Teslas were ignited using Molotov cocktails. They wrote the word resist on the facility. And so the FBI is investigating that as a potential act of domestic terrorism. And there have been similar incidents that have been occurring in Kansas City, Oregon, Colorado, South Carolina. These are Tesla facilities that, they've all been, damaged. There's been tons of vehicles set on fire, that type of thing. So we're seeing a lot of that, and I just think it's interesting that so I've got this cartoon here where on the left, they're like, no, it's just a protest. They don't like them, so we're just going to burn a few cars and damage a few facilities. But then down below, like, you do a little thing, and it's a hate crime.
Yeah. Well, here's
should it be treated as the damage that we're seeing to Tesla, to make a point, right? The left is trying to make a point to, whether it be to Donald Trump, Elon, Doge, whatever, and they're destroying property.
Mm-hmm.
Is that domestic terrorism?
100%, because it goes far beyond just the Tesla dealers and the vehicles. There's now a website that has, citizens' vehicle. Anyone that owns a Tesla,
they're posting their information. They're
doxing them on there, and
they're posting their personal information.
Yes.
So as I understand it, if you're a Tesla owner, there's a website where they're putting out your personal information, like your address.
Yep.
In the hopes of what? What's the point of it?
Terror.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is what is the definition of domestic terrorism, right? Causing fear based off of political ideology. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Right. This is domestic terrorism.
And that's what this, this little cartoon that I came across, represents. It's like, so on the one hand, it's just a protest, if we go back to 2020 and we're burning down Minneapolis, it's a protest.
Right. Fiery, but mostly peaceful.
But if I don't identify the LGBTQ flag as being, I don't care if you fly it. I don't even see it. I couldn't care less, but I don't give it prominence. I don't rise that flag up to be something of major importance.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters if I'm a part of that community or not a part of that community. I'm not trying to walk across every hot coal so that I can satisfy every person's ideology.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to live a good life. I would go help a person if they were in trouble, and I wouldn't ask what their credentials were.
Right.
I would just do it because it's human to human help. But in the sense of what we're seeing out there here again, and for now, it's just that Tesla is the example of what people are willing to destroy out of protest, and we just look at it and go, "Oh, that's too bad."
Well, what's funny too is a lot of the people doing this are a lot of the same people that were the climate change activists. So they're burning vehicles, causing more pollution and damage to the climate.
Right.
But the vehicle that they're burning is the one that's trying to reduce, carbon emissions and reduce the effects of climate change and everything.
Right.
So
right.
In order to get back at Bad Man,
Yep.
not Batman, because
Orange Man
or Bad Man.
Yep.
Elon Man, I don't know, whatever you want to call him. We're willing to sacrifice our own morals and ethics of our beliefs, which are, I want to fix the climate, in order to stick it to the man. Like counterproductive kind of your goals and beliefs.
This episode of the original Firefighter podcast is sponsored by Castle Contracting. Castle Contracting offers commercial and residential restoration, leading the industry in roofing, residential siding, gutters and downspouts, egress window installation, storm damage assessment and repair, and solar energy, saving you money and time. If you want to be treated like royalty, contact Castle Contracting to schedule a free inspection. Call them at 877-512-4207 or go online and visit castleexteriors.net. That's 877-512-4207 or go online and visit castleexteriors.net. Serving Illinois, Wisconsin, and Kentucky, Castle Contracting has you covered. Your home is your castle. Call Castle Contracting today. Yeah, and I assume that I've never driven a Tesla. I've been to a few Tesla fires myself, and they're not the funnest fire to fight.
Yeah, they don't stop burning.
But I think it's interesting. You bring up a good point where it's like, so you're gonna have a website where you're gonna post information of people who have purchased an EV vehicle.
Yeah.
Again, one that is supposed to be saving the climate, saving the earth by driving one of these vehicles. And so now you're going to call out these people that are actually doing that. I'm assuming that they bought it in support of saving the planet.
Right.
But now the pendulum has swung the other way, and we're going to, be as hypocritical as it could possibly be.
Right. You know what's funny is these late night TV hosts. Stephen Colbert just was on the other day and was talking about how he doesn't not condone violence or vandalism of any of these Teslas or anything like that. And then he even talked about going after people that just own Teslas. And he said, I don't condone it, but I do appreciate your tireless work, because they're slashing tires.
Right. Yep. Yep.
So it's funny joke.
Yeah.
Right?
Ha, ha, ha.
But then a few years ago, he was talking about gas prices going up and how he's willing to pay more money for gas because we're not supporting Russia, and we're implementing all these regulations on importing Russian fossil fuels or whatever. He's like, I'm willing to pay, $1 more. What are your morals worth? He goes, I'll pay $15 because I drive a Tesla. It's like,
right.
Did he get rid of his Tesla? I wonder. Maybe we can go on that website and check it out. Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
See where Stephen Colbert lives and say hi. I'm a fan.
Yeah. No kidding.
That's it.
Well, I would basically say that what we're seeing is domestic terrorism. I think it's properly labeled that way. It should be investigated and prosecuted that way.
Absolutely.
And,
DOJ's taking a look.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Let's fucking go.
So that brings me to just a conversation about some latest news coming out of Evanston, Illinois. Apparently, there have been 4 firefighters from Evanston that have been disciplined.
Yeah.
And again, don't know what that discipline is, and it's not really the point of that. All I know is that, firefighters themselves can find themselves in the middle of controversy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, it's not necessarily intentional. I don't know everyone's motives. Sometimes, we put things on social media, maybe to be provocative or to just let people know this is where I stand. You might lose friends, you might gain friends. Doesn't, depend on your stance. But these, individuals, apparently they posted a photo where they were wearing Trump masks while they were on duty. This happened, I think, on the day of his inauguration.
Yeah.
And the implication being that, they were supporting his rise to, being the 47th president and having his second term start. And so these, basically the decision was, hey, we're going to wear these Trump masks, take a photo, put it up on social media, on duty.
In the firehouse.
In
uniform.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like stressing my voice here going, where do you fall on that? You got a social media policy.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. There's policies in place, right? I mean, there's political policies in place. There's social media policies in place. Do I disagree with their intent of being excited to support the president of the United States? I'm not mad at that. I support him, right?
Right.
We're own worst enemy sometimes, though, right? Like, there's a time and place, and I get it. You're on shift at work on January 20th.
Yeah.
When the inauguration happens, and you do that. Personally, I'm all for it. Professionally, it wasn't the right space or venue for that. Yet again, in uniform, in the firehouse, on duty. I get
maybe this is what Gordon Graham.
Social media, right? I mean, like, social media is the downfall of our society, in my opinion. Just stay away from social media while you're on duty.
Yeah, for sure.
That's simple, right?
Well, I mean, what I was going to say is maybe this is what Gordon Graham is, also saying though is that you keep politics out of the firehouse. This was something done apparently while on duty.
Yeah.
And they they got strung up for it a bit. It sounds like, but then it's a tough rope to walk because. We have provisions where, I'm not saying that we have it here, but there are places that allow you to go vote while you're on duty.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, I think federal law.
Yeah, you have to be provided the opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of, departments, their policies are, well, you could vote before you come into shift. But what I'm saying is that some departments let their companies go out and they vote. It's a thing. There's the other side of it where I'm going to assume that on Inauguration Day, somewhere in any of the firehouses in America had a TV on that had the inauguration on.
100%.
And who's not going to watch that, right?
Absolutely.
So here again, it's like, well, that's politics in the firehouse.
Yeah.
And so, but is this, I guess this is what I'm driving at here with this segment is this a bridge too far? Is it the violation of the social media policy? Probably. Is it made worse because what they were portraying? Or should that be left out of it? Can that be left out of it?
I think if they were wearing Joe Biden masks, the same thing should have happened.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Because
they have violated the social media policy.
Right. Yeah. Now I will say there's a big push for free speech and First Amendment rights for firefighters that we're pushing for on the federal level. I don't know if that's would kind of qualify for that. I mean, that's, a mask is not your speech, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But one could say, I don't know. It's interesting. Me personally, I would just avoid that situation altogether.
Yeah.
Right? It's not worth the fight.
Yeah.
It's not worth the fight.
One of the things I did pick up on some comments that were made apparently about this post, and it's the lowest hanging fruit that could be grabbed by the community or the civilians out there going, why are you posting and using social media when you should be, fighting fires and running med calls and, when do you have time to be doing that? And I think that's a little bit of the disconnect there where it's like, well, firefighters aren't every minute of every day out on a call. First of all, that's not even possible. They'd be so exhausted. You'd run them into you'd have a guy that get on the job today and they'd be off the job in 5 years if that was the case.
Right.
So, there is some downtime. There is time to have a couple meals. There is time to hopefully work out because, got to keep the heart and lungs working well.
Fitness is part of this job.
Fitness is huge.
Huge part of this job.
Fitness is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's probably been one of my one of my biggest arguments is that every single year, every fire department that I know of will indicate that they have at least a 3% increase in call volume. That is never followed by more staffing. It's never followed by extra companies being put in service. It's usually followed by some kind of a cut.
Yeah.
LA City. And yet we promote verbally by the words coming out of our mouth. We say health and fitness is the most important thing to a firefighter. And then there's places that give them barely any time to be able to do that, if any at all.
Right. Yeah. Work your 24-hour shift while catching calls the whole day, then go home, be exhausted. So you're unfortunately, your body's not even ready to do that. That's
right.
Definite cause for injury. So then you have your third day where it's like, all right, maybe I can get something in. But
you feel like a normal human being by
yeah,
third day.
Yeah, but I've pushed everything else now to that day to try and handle and that period. Yet again, if you're committed to it, dedicated, you're going to find the time. I'm not going to say that there's no time in the day to get fitness in, right?
No, right.
There is. You have to be. Sometimes you're going to have to work out at 8:45 at night, and it's not going to be fun. What you want to do is hit a recliner and decompress after the day thus far. But there's time, right? I mean, there's time in the day if you can do it. Yet again, there's times where, yesterday, perfect example, right?
Yeah.
I go down, finally get down there at 8:15, 8:30 at night, start to work out, get about 20 minutes in, tones go off, go on the call, come back,
pick
get
it
back
up
to it.
Yeah.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
And there's always the joke of, especially when you're doing cardio, like you get one reset, anything more, I'm done for the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to get motivated at, 2 or 3 times in when you get interrupted. I worked with a crew for a while for a year that, we, and I don't know that we did it for the entire year, but we did it for a good long time. We did it for probably a good 5-6 months. And the rule was that you catch a call, you come back, everybody did, I think it was like 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and 10 body squats. It was like, to get around to 30.
Yeah.
But it was after every call.
Yeah.
Even at nighttime, we were doing this, which was kind of cool. I mean, you get back from a run, and then you just kind of, and by the time you were done with the day, your shift, you'd gotten 120 or 150 push-ups in.
Yeah. Well, I did something similar when I was over at Squad 10. And the boys there. The squad.
Yeah.
Squad boys.
That's how I saw it. I tried to treat it that way a little bit.
Yeah. I threw up that pull-up bar that had all the different...
is that where that came from?
Yeah. Yeah. So every time we go on a call, we pump out 10. I mean, we were doing 200 pull-ups a day, and every day was... okay, you can only do this type of pull-up or this type of chin-up or this type of thing. I mean, we got so good, we were increasing. I mean, it was a challenge to each of us too, right? We wanted to, who could do the most. And there's one guy, old Dick, he'll know who he is. He was just straight crushing them. I mean, physically fit, thin guy.
No.
We call him Dick. His name rhymes with it.
Okay, gotcha.
His South Side Chicago name is Dick Beluski.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So he was an animal. He was just a machine. I mean, he'd pump out 20 and not even sweating, and I jump up and I'm like, ooh,
yeah.
Boy.
You didn't want to get beat.
No, but he always won.
Yeah.
Well, then I started I would try and do monthly prizes. Whoever won, that month got through that.
Yeah.
And my little thing of, hey, there's physical fitness. We can do it. And it's a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. I think pull-ups are something. And it was right as you, on the apparatus floor, as you're going back to the bunk room. So you had to pass it. So everybody's like, just jump up every once in a while and knock out 10 for that period and good to go. So it was fun. But there's like you said, there's definitely opportunities to do something, even when you're busy and catching calls.
That's kind of to circle back. That's the whole point is we know what happens inside the firehouse.
Right.
We know that even with the call volume that we have here in Rockford, even that amount of call volume, the guys still find a way to get a lot of stuff done. They're very motivated people.
Yeah.
They get a workout in. A lot of them do. You're cooking 2 meals together, and that's a huge thing. I mean, we're getting off a little bit, and I'll come back around to it. But cooking those meals together, I honestly think is probably the most important thing. Yeah. I think I'd probably just stand on that alone and just say, if you ever lost, and if you're a department out there that doesn't eat together, or if you brown bag it, I mean, there's some places that they just do what they have to do.
Right.
They there's nothing that's maybe just that it's not a part of their culture, or maybe over time it was something that they've eroded, and they lost. But I think making those meals together and treating it like it's tradition,
I think there's something
huge.
to be said too. I mean, how many people in their personal lives at home have family meals with their wife and their kids, or
Yeah.
It's very minimal now, right? I mean, everybody's busy. People are working weird hours and different shifts, so it's hard to do that. So if we can try and maintain that in the firehouse, good conversation, you're with the people that you're with, develops good bonds and camaraderie there. It's a definite net positive for the fire service to be able to do those things together, especially with the newer kids coming on. I mean, to learn kind of tradition and history and have that they see right away. We always talk about brotherhood. It's in my career, it's definitely lessened, right?
Sure.
It's not what it used to be. But if we can hold on to a little bit of that, and I think that's where those family style dinners.
Yeah, I've seen the kind of like the meal prep.
Yeah.
And the menu changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
I when I came in to Rockford in 1996 and had my first few meals at the firehouse as a probationary firefighter, as a rookie, a pair of boots, right? I sat down at the table and I'm like, this is the most food I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
There were 2 gallons of 2% almost whole milk and the 2 huge Italian loaves of bread.
Yeah.
It was a double company, and we had a chief there as well. But I'm just like, oh my God, they were making like 2 and 3 trays of lasagna.
Yeah.
And
well, and that's the thing, and one thing that has definitely changed is you had the 2 gallons of milk, you had 2 loaves of bread, you had a salad. There was always a salad with every meal.
Yeah, I think my last meal was a chicken salad. Thanks a lot, Phil.
You're welcome. But you can't even do that anymore with the prices of things either, right? That's one of the biggest changes. Is you're cooking for 8 people. Yeah, you have your 2 gallons of milk; those are for both meals, but then people don't drink milk anymore, right? Dairy's people have issues with that. So now the milk has kind of gone away. No one really eats bread. It's white death, right? We get that out of the way, right? And the salad, well, I try and do a salad every meal as a side thing, but even still, if you have 2 real meals and then a salad, you're over budget, and unfortunately, it's cut that out now too. So now you have your 2 meals. And
now you can't even buy like a dozen eggs for hard boiled to put into your salad.
$12.
Yeah. So now it's crazy. It's crazy. But that's a little bit of conversation about how there are things that go on inside the firehouse. When we go back to the situation in Evanston with what happened, it's not the end of the world. I don't think. I hope it's not.
No.
It shouldn't be that big. But I think it's a call out to say you can get yourself in trouble and maybe not even realize that you're doing it. Because again, our phones are always there. You're taking photos. I remember a crew. They took a photo as a crew. And in front of the house being on fire.
Yeah.
It was too far gone. We were doing defensive operations. And that's, again, I can put it into context. I mean, I took fire photos all the time. I took video on, because I was proud about that. Right. I wanted the public to see it from a positive point of view. I wanted to have the public see that we were doing the work, the action, if you will. And the second payoff was the crews liked it because they'd get a couple things of their job, of their career. They could maybe take it, with them, and they could say, hey, my friends, family, my loved one, like, this is what we were doing last night.
Yeah.
And I thought that I always enjoyed that. And I didn't, I always went for the tasteful thing. That's what I want. I wanted it to be done in a great way. I mean, I wanted it to be where you could take it and put it all together and have a great video.
Yeah.
A cool action type video. I think it's some of the most, it's one of the best ways to engage the public, to show them in real time the fast paced work of this profession. It's when we get into this situation where, it looks politically driven. It was, just the lighting of it all on Inauguration Day. So it goes back to the politics, and maybe sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, and that whole situation unfortunate, and it shouldn't be that way. It should have been, take the picture for yourself. Don't put it on social media. Got it.
Right.
Right. But then once you put it on social media, especially as divisive of a character as Donald Trump is, half the country hates him. I mean hate.
They do.
Hate, right?
They do.
The other half of the country loves him.
Yeah.
Varying degrees of love.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, it's not the same. Where it's too divided. That like I said, stay away from it. It's not the hill I'm going to die on. It's not the battle that I want. It's not the fight I want to have.
As much as I do support his, basically the agendas, again, I'll say it clearly, he's a very bombastic person that, has no, doesn't have an off switch basically. But I'm okay with that for now.
Yeah.
I am tired, have been tired for a long time. I think that those who voted for him, even the independents, and that are probably going back a little bit and going, oh, what have I done? I casted my vote for this guy, and, having a little bit of, buyer's remorse, maybe they do, maybe they don't.
I don't know. New polls are showing Democrats are way down. 55% don't support the Democrats.
Oh no, they're in trouble. I mean, they're absolutely in trouble.
I gotta imagine if you're not happy with what they did yet.
But I've just been able to just split the difference and say I don't have to like him as an individual. Yeah. He doesn't know me. I will never meet him. I like the agendas for today that are happening right now.
Yeah.
And if it brings out if it exposes anything, whatever it exposes, will probably be more that we will actually see in our lifetime than has ever been shown to us before.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I've been voting now for a while. I can go back to, Clinton. I can go back to George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. I can go back to Ronald Reagan. Yeah. And his administration. And I thought that was pretty, I was a young kid, so I had to learn about the Reagan administration as an older, as going up through high school, through college, and coming to appreciate what Reagan stood for.
Yeah.
And even I swung to be a Democrat for a while, and then I came to where I'm at today. And I've swung the other side, and I'm going like, yeah, I'm tired of all this huge government. Nobody wants to give up the political power. I get that. But look at what Chuck Schumer just said the other day on The View. Terrible show.
Yeah.
But look what he just said on The View the other day. He literally called out the American people and said, how dare you be against your government? How dare you think that you built that company on your own? How dare you say that the government shouldn't have a right to tell you what you can and cannot do? That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah.
And you know who said that? Not that we probably have to go back. You have to go back to Barack Obama, because Barack Obama stood there at the podium and said nearly the same thing. He said, "You didn't build that. You think you built that building? You didn't do all that. You didn't do that on your own."
Yeah.
How insulting.
That's called socialism, which leads into communism.
How insulting.
Yeah. Now, he was just talking about the billionaires, but it's the same story, right? 10 years ago, it was the millionaires, right? Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they don't like the billionaires because they're not billionaires. Just like they didn't like millionaires, but they weren't millionaires yet.
Right, exactly.
Bernie Sanders hated millionaires until he became one.
Well,
you too can write a best-selling book. Just go do it. Yeah. Thanks, Bernie.
Yeah.
So people want to hear my story.
Yeah.
No.
Do you ever just close your eyes when he's like Count Chocula?
No. Like
one bat.
every time I think of Bernie, I just think of angry Bernie sitting there with the mittens.
This episode of the original Firefighter podcast is brought to you by Benny's Slots, Wine, Spirits, and Empire Gaming. With 3 locations serving the Rockford area in Roscoe, McChesney Park at Nest, and Cherry Valley at the Harley-Davidson store, Benny's is the place with taste and enough luck to go around for everyone, provided by Empire Gaming. Each location offers fun and entertainment with weekly sports, events, drawings, and live music in a plush environment. As a side note, I recently had my retirement party this past summer at Benny's at Nest in McChesney Park, and they gave us the VIP experience all around. For the best atmosphere, for the best entertainment, head to Benny's for good drinks, good friends, and good times. Stop in at a Benny's location near you today.
At the inauguration?
No, what I think of when if anybody talks about Bernie Sanders, here's what I recall it was during COVID. It was during one of the State of the Union addresses that Biden was doing. And here's Bernie Sanders yucking it up with everybody in the chamber, House of Representatives, right? The speech hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
People are coming in. People are shaking hands. This is COVID. They're shaking hands. They're yucking it up. They're in close proximity to one another. And then the speech starts, and he's sitting down facing, the podium, facing the president, and he's wearing his mask.
Of course.
And I'm like, what political theater this is. This is so stupid.
That's all it was.
So stupid.
It's messaging. That's all it is.
It's that's what I think of.
Yeah.
So
it's like Gavin Newsom, right? When during COVID, when locked down all the restaurants, no one could do anything. California was one of the worst places. Couldn't even go on the beach by yourself. Outside, fresh air,
the
sun,
beach,
right? But then
do you remember when they were drawing circles in parks?
Yeah.
And in Central Park,
you had to stand. Yeah.
They drew out. They use yard paint.
Yeah.
And they put circles out.
Had to stay in your circle, stay in your bubble. No, but what Newsom do? He went to the French Laundry, famous restaurant in California, Michelin star restaurant, with a big group of people during COVID. Well, no one else could go leave the house, but
sure.
There,
Well, Nancy Pelosi did the same thing.
Rules for me, right?
She went to day spa.
Yeah. Whatever. Get her hair blown out. She had her mask on though. You couldn't go get your hair cut, but she had to look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be on TV.
Didn't Governor Pritzker? Wasn't he traveling? Didn't he go up into Wisconsin or somewhere where they didn't have mask restrictions? And
all of them did it. It's just so hard to even keep track of everyone.
Well, I did it too. I mean, I went to Destin, Florida twice during COVID, and it was because it was they weren't stupid down there.
Yeah.
The rest of us were being stupid, but I
just remember going to the gym and they'd make you wear the mask, and I'd be running. I'd pull that thing down, and I'd see the guy come and be like, "Put your mask on." I'm like, "Okay, put it up," and then he walks away and I pull it down again.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You ever run and sweat with a mask on?
How about the kids? How about the kids, the high schoolers and the middle schoolers that were playing basketball with their masks on?
I have pictures. My daughter had to do it. I hated it. I mean, so stupid.
Man, I hope we learned our lesson from that.
Give it time. We'll forget.
So you brought up Gavin Newsom, and I have a question. What is he doing launching? Why does he have a podcast?
Oh, here you go. Here's my theory. Well, have you seen who some of his guests have been?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I have.
People on the right. His first show was Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
He had Steve Bannon on. Who's another?
Having Charlie Kirk on as your first guest was pretty bold as far as I was concerned.
And he got him to admit some things
he did.
too, right?
Yeah.
So I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to change his perception of himself on the national stage for a potential run in 2028. And now he's going to try and become more moderate by doing this. And I'm just having open conversation. Now, real quick, I love, if anybody has watched it, comment or whatever, but he does this thing with his hands and then he does this thing when he's talking.
This thing.
I'm like,
and he does this. He does this. And I just want to tell you, just want to do this, and then I tell you.
I get as a politician, you're not supposed to point, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they Bob Dole had the pen in his hand, and he would do that, and Barack Obama would do this, and Trump does the whole hands, right? There's never really
where he's parting the Red Sea.
Yeah. So I get that's one of the politicians 101, right?
Yeah.
Of you're not supposed to point, and because then that person feels. Well, it's all on me, right?
Right.
So, but Gavin Newsom's is so weird. This thing, we're just hanging out, we're talking.
Well, he's shaking,
we're having a good time.
If you put a couple maracas,
he does this with his hands.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this something else that we don't know about?
He looks like he's shaking maracas.
Yeah. But the thumbs are up.
The thumbs are up.
The thumbs, he's
and,
and
it'll do like this. It'll kind of push out like
he's jacket on, pop like the Fonz. Hey.
I bring it up. Here's why I bring it up. What political timing as LA is burning.
Yeah.
And, they got him out there walking. This was early on. The fires were basically still going. And, they've got news crews that are out in the neighborhoods and they see him. They see the governor of California show up in a neighborhood. He gets out. He's wearing the flak jacket or whatever, trying to look, cool. And, they ask him a question like, why don't the hydrants have any water? And he's like, I don't know. I'm the governor of California, but I don't know why there's no water in the hydrants. And then fast forward literally 2 months later, and he's got a podcast. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm going, you've got time to do a podcast. Why aren't you figuring out the water situation for your state?
It's all theater, like you said. It's all political theater. It's genius action on his part.
And I'm gonna do the thumb handshake thing. The maracas. I'm like, you got a time for a podcast?
Yeah.
Maybe you should be dealing with the failing infrastructure of your state instead of doing the podcast.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to bump his polls because nationally he's not looking great right now. Right.
He's definitely going to run. He's definitely going to run.
Sure. Yeah. And so CNN just came out with a poll. CNN or MSNBC. I actually have it. If you don't mind, I'd like to bring it up.
Go ahead. Okay.
So there's been a lot of question of who's the leader of the Democratic Party right now. And they even asked Tim Walz, former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, who is the leader of the Democratic Party right now? His response, the American people.
Yep.
And the newscaster was like, all right.
Yeah. So all of them
so
are the leaders?
Yeah. So this was, I believe, a CNN poll. And they asked who is, as of today, who is the leader of the Democratic Party? And it's a favorability, right? Rating.
Yeah.
Who do you think's number one?
AOC.
AOC is number one with 10%. She's going to run in 2028, and they want her to challenge Chuck Schumer here in 26.
Yep.
Insane. Who do you think number two is?
Is it Newsom?
No.
Is it Schumer?
Nope. Kamala Harris.
Kamala.
We didn't learn from 2024.
I forgot about her.
Yeah. She's at 9%. Number three.
I have been I've been unburdened by what has been.
Number three is Bernie at 8%.
Oh my God.
Hakeem Jeffries, who's the minority leader for the reps, he's at 6%. You know who number five is? None of them. That's at 5%. None of them is higher than everyone else on the list.
Really?
Yeah. Obama's 6%. Jasmine Crockett, 6%. Gavin Newsom is 2%. I'm sorry, I take that back. Obama and Crockett are 4%. Newsom is only 2%. So that's your Democratic Party.
I knew it was AOC. I know that,
That's wild.
Oh, of course it is.
That's wild. But that's the thing. Like even Nancy Pelosi said, I could have a ham sandwich run in that seat and it would win, as long as you put Democrat on it for her district. And it's like, well, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
But now she fell in line and they're backing her. So whatever.
Yeah. No, there's definitely trouble in the water on that side of the aisle. And I think it's for me personally. I'm here for it. It's refreshing to see that in my lifetime, I get to be a part of a movement that has a clear vision. It's not swampy. It's just very, very clear. Men are men, women are women. There's two genders. Enough said. Move on. What's the next thing? We want to deregulate. Okay, great. Because definitely all the regulations that we have across this country is too far reaching. It's truly been holding back capitalism. We are struggling as an economy. We are going over the cliff in a lot of ways. The personal debt ratio to the GDP it's unbelievable. And that's the part that I'm just baffled by, is how people they're looking at their own lives and their own conditions, and they're thinking that it's somehow going to get better by doing the same thing over and 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 never changing course. Mm-hmm. And basically Trump, Vance, Doge, the Republican Party, most of the right are saying we have to do something different.
Yeah.
We do not have a different, you cannot keep going down this road.
Right.
We're going to go over the cliff.
I was just listening to an economist today. He was talking about the GDP, and he said it's going to dip. It's going to dip. It's not going to stay where it's at. But that's not a bad thing either. The GDP is so inflated right now because when you have illegal aliens come in and take jobs from American citizens, the American citizen goes on welfare. That increases your GDP.
Right.
Right. When you're overseas and you're in these places, especially like Ukraine now, but they did it before in Afghanistan and Iraq, build a bridge, blow up the bridge, build the bridge again. That inflates your GDP. So all the things that Doge is doing is going to decrease the GDP because they're cutting the waste, they're cutting the fraud, they're cutting all these things. Well, if you don't have those things that are inflating your GDP, what happens? Your GDP is going to be lower. So I don't think I think the once people catch on to that, one side is going to say, look at the GDP under Trump is we're not as strong as we were, or we're not as powerful, our GDP is decreasing. But when you actually understand what's happening and how they inflated those numbers, it's a good thing in the long run. So I just thought that was interesting. I just heard that today.
Just switching here to what's going on in the Midwest right now. We just had this round of storms come through that, another lot of fatalities that came from the tornadoes that broke out over the last few days, hitting Missouri, Tennessee, and so basically the Midwest getting smacked. And, the last few months we've been really focused on the LA fires. Before that, in the end of 2024, we had the hurricanes. Again, we know that natural disasters and things like that are going to happen. That's not new. But just wanted to pause and there's just been some incredible effort again out there by first responders and firefighters that are just kicking ass out there. It's been crazy. Yeah. So I just wanted to, make a point to just remember that we do have a lot of first responders and whatnot on the front line in the Midwest. Things do seem to be, handled in LA. We talked about in a previous episode where now during their recovery efforts out there, they're dealing with the fallout. They're dealing with the debris. They're dealing with the environment, the atmosphere, the toxic air that they're breathing as they're trying to go back into some of these homes. So they got that going on. We got the Midwest pretty much smacked and devastated. Still rebuilding on the East Coast. North Carolina cannot seem to catch a break.
Yeah.
If it's not hurricanes, it's a heavy rain, mudslides.
Yeah.
Just everything opening up. And again, this does all go back to that. It takes the first responders and the firefighters, the police officers, the EMTs on the front line answering every one of these calls.
Yeah, I think people forget just because it didn't make national news doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, right. One of the things I wanted to bring up here was that we've got a video, and we've been doing this every now and then on episodes. We're going to continue to do a breakdown of a video, and you're going to help bring us in here, Phil, with this is a car crash video in Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to kind of break it down, see what we get from it.
Yeah. So it starts off, yet again, the video comes from the body cams of the police officers on scene. And then just kind of showing, how police, fire, EMS all work together on these significant types of incidents. This one, I think it was 4 or 5 people in the vehicle, hit a pole, significant damage, car started on fire. Unfortunately, there was one fatality of the driver in there. But the police officer, the first arriving police officer, what a fucking hero. The guy's a legend in my book. That being said, fire, again, don't want to Monday morning quarterback you, but we'll kind of break it down, discuss some things that maybe we need to train on.
Sure.
Line deployment, water on fire, things like that. And yet again, significant incident, 5 victims. So I guess it does take a lot away from you, especially first arriving company. But yeah.
So let's go ahead and play this, and we'll break it down here a little bit.
On April 20th, 2023, 5 friends were rounding a curve at a high rate of speed on Willow Street in Lansing, Michigan, where the posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour. The driver lost control and crashed into a tree, igniting the vehicle and endangering the lives of the trapped teens inside. Officer Turvo arrived a mere 3.5 minutes after the crash. What he found would stay with him forever.
Was that live there? Was that caught on a Ring camera or something?
I know.
Yeah, I believe so.
Do me a favor. Get back. Get back.
So what we saw here was that a car just flew right into a tree here and just burst into flames.
Yeah, driving too fast for the conditions.
And that view right there?
Security camera from somewhere.
Okay, yeah. So this...
Can you move? I need you to get out of the car. Come on, get out of the car.
How many people are on the side?
I believe 5.
Vehicle's on fire. I need you to get out.
4 or 5.
Get out. Yes, there's somebody on both sides.
So we got a bystander to come up to help, looks like.
Just broke the window to the back seat.
Yeah, we're watching the body camera from the police officer.
4 people in the car.
Who says
Right
4?
there. People trapped 5.
Come on.
And this thing's just
Open the
mangled.
door for me.
Yeah.
These doors, under that impact, the doors don't work. Everything's crumpled. Even if the door looks like it's intact, it's still, it's been pushed up against the frame.
Right.
So one person's out.
I like the counter too on this.
Yeah.
3 people.
And this cop is doing it all on his own, right?
Yeah.
The door won't open. You gotta climb over the seat. Come on.
I think us talking
Yeah.
helps though.
I mean, we can give him credit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is not our video. This is not original Firefighters video, but we're just doing a little critique on it.
Come on. The driver's still in there. I know.
So he's got all but one out. Yeah, and of course the driver's stuck in there.
So fire trucks pulling up, right? I guess the big thing is to look at the timer of when they get on scene until they get water on the fire. And it's in excess of 2.5 minutes.
Your phone.
It takes 2.5 minutes after they get on scene to get water on the fire.
So
Driver's still in.
engines on scene.
Yep.
Driver's still in the car.
So the first engine's pulled up, and that cop was able to get 3 or 4 people out of the car.
4 people.
4 people out of the car. The driver's still trapped. Car's on fire.
Driver's still in there. Everybody else is out.
Biggest thing I have is the sense of urgency from fire right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to blast anybody, right? But
Well, at this point, you've already heard over the radio that you got people trapped. You already know.
Get off the truck prepared, pack on,
I got everybody out of the car except the driver.
So they're laying out their pre-connect.
Spaghetti.
This guy has nothing on. Did he have a pack on?
Nope.
So they're trying to get the patients that are out away from the car. They probably don't even understand what injuries they have themselves.
Yeah, they're probably in some sort of shock, whether it's emotional or even physical.
So now we're seeing multiple body cams, but no water yet.
No water yet. Yeah. Line's still a mess.
What would you think about just putting your deck gun monitor on it? Just dial down the GPM.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with if you're gonna throw up the deck gun on it, you still got to get somebody up there, angle it, get it. Right.
I know, but I'm looking at this, and I think what your point is that the lines in the street. I see nobody. I don't see this line moving forward at all.
Yeah.
And this has been just. I mean, I can see it right now. The nozzle's laying out there.
Yeah. Yet again, line work, being prepared, knowing how to stretch your lines properly. I don't think it's charged yet even, right? Our trucks are pretty simple to pump now. It's 2 buttons.
Yeah. So I think you're just driving at, having a sense of urgency, situational awareness.
Yep. Life, right? That's what we're there for, life. Yet again, not saying that the driver would have survived. Maybe it was the trauma of the accident caused the fatality, right?
Yeah.
But, so now I think they have water. You can kind of hear it. Maybe. I don't know.
That the hose looks just like it looks flaccid to me.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
No, I mean you can see the fire burning.
Yeah.
20 gallons of water on that would convert that, pretty quickly. And
I'm a big fan of piss cans too. I mean, while someone's stretching the line, get your pump can and try or extinguisher or something, right?
Anything. Because what we're doing is we're looking past the body camera. They're addressing some patients, but what we're seeing, I mean, we can see the flame clearly still coming from the engine compartment.
Okay, this car is on fire. It might explode, so we need to get away. Okay?
That doesn't happen.
It's full of TNT.
Yeah. Tires might blow.
It's a Hollywood set.
It's a loud explosion from tires, but
right. So I think you want to pause it here, or do you want to let it go? Was there more coming up?
No,
here?
I mean they show them getting water on the fire, darken it down pretty quickly, and then they talk about the fatality in there.
Right.
Yeah. But yet again, I mean, we don't know what caused the fatality. It's not that not saying it was their fault. They didn't do their job. Right?
No.
Fatality. Not that at all. Right. No. Obviously, the impact was that severe. The guy might have been just mangled up in there, and
there was no
viable patient. Right.
Yeah, there was no getting him out.
Even if you got that fire out, there might be extrication involved. Now that could have been prolonged, and he might have been under the dash, or so I'm not knocking that. My biggest thing is just I think the training portion we really need to focus on that, being prepared for the calls. When you get on scene, have your gear on, right? I don't know, clean cab or not. I don't know if he has his pack be right in his seat, or if he's got to get out and grab it out of a compartment. So there's a lot of variables there. I'm not trying to knock and say this, but my biggest thing watching that, the sense of urgency wasn't there. They were getting information. They probably had a little bit of information of the amount of victims there that were maybe in the vehicle, that the car was on fire and people were trapped. And then that line deployment was rough.
Yeah, I'll just, again, we're seeing it from one angle.
Yeah.
But I'll go down that road with you that it did seem like that line was laying there. It was flaked out. It appeared to be ready to go, sitting there. Nobody was on the nozzle moving hose forward and getting water in the fire. Yeah, to your point, I mean, we don't know that the impact of the crash killed the driver, if the radiant heat or direct flame impingement on him or whatever it was. So the driver did not survive this.
Correct, yeah.
But the other passengers got out.
All 4 got out, yeah.
And let's give it up to that police officer.
Well, and at the very end, they actually dropped his name if you wanted to go to the end, and actually he was awarded a life-saving award and had some injuries from that incident. But yeah, that dude was just a champ.
Yeah.
I'll take him. If he ever wants to cross over and make the right decision in life to be a fireman, we'll take him.
No, and just so we're clear, that, you know, original firefighter, we're not here to give negative criticism for the sake of negative criticism. I mean, it's all in the vein of providing some feedback, some training opportunity, maybe just jogging our own skills and our own mindset to say, when you have these moments, you can come out looking awesome, or you can come out looking not very well prepared.
Yeah. I watch these videos for my own training, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this is to me. It's training. It's making sure that what can I do to be better? And I might not have experienced something like that. Well, now, even though I didn't experience it personally, I've seen it. Okay, well, I can correct that now in my own profession and make sure that doesn't happen. So yet again, it's just good training opportunities to make sure that we are as prepared as we can be, you know, whether it's actually training hands-on, tabletop discussions, videos, or actually the experiences. But how do we learn? We learn basically when we fuck up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest way we're going to learn. And I've plenty of times in my career, I've done something like, well, I'm never going to do that again.
Well, you know, it's been talked about a lot in the fire service that, you know, you don't train on the incident.
Right.
You know, that's not, you were supposed to train beforehand.
Yeah.
However, you know, I mean, we can think of a lot of scenarios, but you can't necessarily train for every possible situation, right? So some incidents are themselves, it's an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And what you end up doing is you take an incident that you've never had before, and then you glean a lot of training opportunities and topics out of that one incident.
Yeah. I mean, you're not training on the incident, but you're definitely learning from the incident.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
There's a lot of things that we do, especially out at the fire academies and in these classes around here, that we learn this because there was an incident that caused us to learn from this.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how we learn. And that's how we develop these courses and things like that. So this is just another thing, right? It's just another training opportunity to look at, discuss, and say, okay, what can I do to make a change or make it different that might be better for me? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And hopefully they looked at it the same way and like, yeah, we listen, there's no one more critical on me and my crew than me. Right? I mean, like, if every time we're going to break it down. Hey, we did really good here, but next time we need to do this, this, and this.
Right.
I do that with myself. So to look at this, I would say, okay, yeah, we did do that, but we can be faster. Right?
Yep.
We got the line out, but let's try it this way. Let's train on this way, and it's going to be deployed faster, right? I mean, so there's all these opportunities to be better. Whether we want to take those opportunities, it's up to us.
Yeah, right. You brought up clean cabs. I mean, again, you know, we don't know what was in this fire, if this fire truck here and the video was a clean cab or not. I never worked off of a clean cab. They were introduced after I'd made a chief and district chief, and I just wondered which one you like better.
I have not, other than maybe a one shift here or there. I haven't had enough experience on to know what I like, and I don't think I've been assigned to one for that one-off shift where I actually had an incident to where I need to grab my pack and even know how.
Oh, because because your ladder 2 is not a clean cab yet.
Nope.
But everything else they're buying,
correct,
are all clean cabs, right?
I assume it will be at some point.
Yeah.
Personally,
I just wondered.
Right now, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I think there's other preventative ways and measures we can take if we're talking about cancer reduction and those things. That we can take those steps forward, not to hinder our performance on the scene, because that's what I'm most fearful of is I can step off the truck, grab my tools, and I'm good to go.
Right.
Versus now, it might not seem like a lot. An extra 30 seconds to someone might not seem like a lot. It's a lot to me.
Yeah.
It puts me at that door 30 seconds sooner. It puts me inside 30 seconds sooner. It puts me to that family member of yours that might be trapped inside 30 seconds sooner. That 30 seconds to me is a lot. Now, data-wise, I don't know. I haven't looked into it, right? But I can say the department that started it on the national level doesn't utilize them anymore. So that should tell you something.
Oh, really?
So, and I don't know who that is, but I was given that information recently, and I don't want to drop department names.
That's why we don't need to do that. But
yeah, the department that started the whole clean cab push doesn't even utilize them anymore.
yeah.
So yet again,
I think these are things that, we dream them up, and, a lot of these things are pushed by other agendas and acronyms and other, different manufacturers, and they're learning, I can't say that they're not trying to better our situation.
Right.
There's certainly some profit behind it.
Absolutely.
And that's what, kind of annoys you. It's like, well, why is the truck more expensive?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yet again, this is all my personal preference. And hey, you give me a truck, I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
I'm not part of any truck committees, nor do I want to be. Give me a truck, make sure it works and does its job. We're going to do everything else. If that means more training to get off the truck quicker and get our packs on quicker, that's what we're going to do. We're going to overcome that obstacle. But like I said, personal preference, I have a lot of gripes with it myself. But yet again, I also don't have it. Right. So, I mean,
not yet.
If I had it, who knows? Maybe I like it. Wow, this is really comfortable up here. I like this way better.
Right.
Rather than having an air pack sit behind me, and I never get really comfortable in there, and I'm a bigger boy, so I need, it's a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
But yet again, it's all preference based right now, but I can't fully knock something that I've never utilized. I mean, like,
here's something else though that doesn't get utilized, and that is the SOP that talks about decon and talks about risk, cancer risk reduction.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that it's like, I love how we put things in print, but then put it into practice, that's a whole another ball game.
Yeah.
And I, as far as I viewed myself as an officer of the department, I saw myself as that honest, that true voice piece of the administration that said, you're supposed to be doing this. Now, I can't babysit you every day.
Right.
I can't babysit you after every call. In fact, that's not even it's not my job.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other layers now. Unless there are very small departments out there where you may only have, say, a chief, an assistant chief, and your rank and file, your structure just is so small that you have direct contact with people where you can just look them eyeball to eyeball and be like, hey, did you wash your gear?
Yeah.
Hey, did you take a shower after the fire? Did you do these things? But when you're in a larger department, your structure is supposed to be that I get communication from a step higher than me, and I disseminate that information amongst many people.
Yeah.
And the intent is I shouldn't be babysitting every person that's within a battalion or within a district.
Yeah.
There's officers to be doing that. And the officers and then individual accountability. You know that these policies exist, and do we follow them?
Right.
If it meant your health, if it was to make sure that you don't get testicular cancer or throat cancer or breast cancer, if you could know that if every moment that you took an action to reduce your risk and that you would actually not end up, getting cancer because you took those steps, would you not do it?
Right. I think, unfortunately, a lot of people have maybe feel that it's going to happen at some point. So why am I going to go to the extra step? I think that's a bad outlook.
Yeah, it's a bad outlook.
But it's, unfortunately, we've already said it once today. We're our own worst enemy sometimes.
Sure.
So
Well, we should be, obviously as officers and leaders of the department, we should be doing our best to promote those policies. Because I think what my point is that the policies are going to do better than a clean cab.
Yeah.
If you follow the policies.
I don't disagree.
So with that, you want to talk about our last segment here? We've got some traditions in the fire service, traditions and superstitions.
Oh, cool.
All right.
All right.
I came up with 7 traditions and 7 superstitions. And I'm just going to do a quick jump off where we're talking about the traditions that, I think we were talking about like how the meals in the firehouse, like that there's a tradition to cooking those meals together, the grocery shopping and preparing the menu and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know which ones of these that you think are the best. The first tradition that I've got is the ringing of the bell. The bell is it's very much, entrenched in the fire service. There's a big culture just around the bell itself.
Yeah.
And what that bell represents. So they would basically strike the bell when a call was when a company would return back to quarters, and basically would, send out a signal that the company was back in quarters and, everybody was home safe, if you will. But then the tribute became when you would lose a firefighter in the line of duty, and then the bell took on a different, basically your duties were complete, you were coming home.
Yeah.
Job well done type thing.
Yeah.
You've done some bell ringing, haven't you?
Yeah.
With the honor guard?
Yeah. Very fortunate to have been part of those, for unfortunate circumstances.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But that's what we train for as part of an honor guard member, is to present that person with the dignity, respect, and honor that they deserve. And
yeah.
So the bell ringing is very, I love it. I think it's such a cool thing. It's very emotional too when we do it, and you do that last alarm kind of thing. It's a special thing.
I always saw the bell ringing, the 3 taps. Some departments do a 555. I think Chicago does that. But I think it's the international, the IAFF, that does a 3 strike 3 times. I've been to the Fallen Firefighter Memorial out in Colorado Springs several times. As an honor guard member, participated in different, functions and activities.
Yeah.
But I liken, the striking of the bell to be sort of like the 21 gun salute.
Yeah.
The bells for the firefighter, the 21 gun salute for a fallen police officer.
Yeah.
So I think it's it's one of the best traditions that we have in the fire service. A lot of departments, they'll mount a chrome bell right in the front of their fire trucks.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The next one is, so if you've ever been with your company, with your crew, and you're out at a bar, you're kind of hanging out, and somebody pulls out of their pocket and they smack it on the table, and it's what is it?
A little challenge coin.
A challenge coin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
This is one of my favorites. Is that it's the tradition being that if I hang out with my company, my buddies, and we're at a bar, we'll say, I bring this challenge coin out and I smack it on the bar table, the bar top. Whoever doesn't have a challenge coin in their pocket is buying a round of drinks.
Yeah. Yep. It's a big military thing too.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we might have got it from and stolen it from them. But it's still a cool thing. I mean, there's so many challenge coins, and I've got one challenge coin holder hanging on my wall.
Sure.
At home. I think it's so cool. Just the ones that I've collected over the years and have been given by different organizations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't think you gave me one time.
I did. Yeah. It was a really sexy coin
Real nice one.
From the Phoenix G5
Phoenix with
fire station alerting.
The Arizona flag on there.
The one side looks cool.
Yeah. It's on the wall. The one side, the cool side is showing.
This go ahead.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's really cool when you look at whenever President Trump does anything in the Oval Office, he's got a challenge coin holder on the back there.
Oh, yeah.
I was down at, like I said, in D.C. for U.S. Representative Darren LaHood, his office. He's got a table, and it's a glass kind of case table, and in the bottom it's just full of challenge coins. Pretty cool. I mean,
I've seen some bar tops that have them, kind of encased.
Glazed in.
Yeah, glazed in on top of their.
That's so
I think
cool.
that's great.
Yeah.
I did bring my favorite challenge coin. You brought up the military. This was given to me by firefighter driver engineer Lanny Wong.
Oh, okay.
Pretty legendary driver on the Rockford Fire Department. Great cook. He's also given a ton of his life to the military. I believe the Army.
Yeah.
He gave this challenge coin to me after we completed the 2007 Honor Guard convention.
Oh, okay.
And I chaired that convention for the AFFI. We had that convention here in Rockford, and then he attended the dinner. And at the dinner, I think I'd given a speech, and some other people had talked. And after the dinner, he walked up and he shook my hand, and he had this challenge coin in his hand, and he passed it off to me.
Very cool.
And it's a soldier combat medic challenge coin. And so I've always had this. If I lost this, I'd be pissed. I'd really be upset with myself. But I always appreciated that Lanny Wong gave this to me, so I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
How about the fact that when you get promoted, the tradition to give the promoted lieutenant, captain, chief, whatever, give them a promotional bottle of booze.
Yeah.
You don't drink.
No, I don't. Yeah.
But
no, that's cool.
That's why we have the Liquid Death.
Yeah. Sponsor us.
Sponsor us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check
Liquid
that out.
Death.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had that. So I walked into, when I made district chief, I walked in to my office, and there was a bottle of the Double Oak Woodford Reserve.
Oh, nice.
It was wrapped up, and it remained wrapped up until I got it home.
Wink.
Wink. But no, so I always thought that was a nice thing. And that kind of ties into another tradition where this is my favorite, is the leaving you leave a set of bugles for the next person in line that's taking your position.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It goes back to actually the late 1800s, early 1900s. That so basically, bugles, the large bugles, like the cheer size bugle.
Yeah.
They used to use that to actually shout orders on fire scenes, so that people, the firefighters could hear the orders, and then the bugles, became the symbol that we wear on our collars. But I had that done, where I opened up my personal locker at a fire station that I was, taking, I think, captain of. And there was a set of captain bugles with a little note. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm doing that from now on.
Yeah. Well, insider baseball, I didn't know that prior to getting promoted that ever happened. And then I got to my locker at my new station as lieutenant, and the previous lieutenant, who had just got promoted to captain, left me a pair of bugles, and I was like, oh, I think he left these behind. So I asked another buddy who's now a captain, like, hey, I think Trevor might have left these.
Right.
I don't know. He probably doesn't need them, but I don't know if he wants them as a keepsake from his time as lieutenant. He's like, no, those are for you. I was like, oh, and then he explained the whole thing to me. I'm like, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. And congratulations to that guy, Trevor, who's now going to be promoted to district chief here in the next few months.
Yep.
So that's going to be awesome. Couldn't be a better guy in that position. But then I did have a buddy very good friend of mine who in her house mailed me some bugles. Didn't replace him, didn't come take his pot, but he wrote me a really nice note and gave me a pair of bugles, and just how proud he was of me and how I earned it and everything. And it got lost in the inner-house mail, and we got put into a mailbox somewhere that I wasn't aware of, and I just randomly found them while I was cleaning out I don't know, some cabinet at
Right.
the station. And I saw it and I'm like, oh, that's really nice. I'm going to call him and thank him. And he was like, yeah, you dick. I sent those to you 4 months ago. I was wondering why I heard nothing of it. I'm like, dude, I literally just found these. I'm super sorry, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
it's like giving someone a pair of baseball tickets and you don't thank me?
Yeah.
Give them back.
Give you the parking pass.
Right.
Even,
Yeah. No. That's my favorite of really all the traditions is to leave a pair of bugles in the locker for the next person. These next two, like we don't do them here, but I do like them. And the one here is so if you get a new fire truck and the crew members, the fire truck's parked on the apron out in front of the firehouse and right in front of the bay that it's going to go into, and then the crew members, they push the fire truck into the station.
Nice. Passing like carrying your wife over the threshold.
Yeah, a little bit.
Wedding night
Yeah,
kind of thing.
right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire truck's more reliable.
I've made too many jokes on this fucking podcast that my wife hears, looks at me and goes, thanks a lot. Like, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. So I'm just going to keep my comments to myself on this.
Yeah, we can't have that. But yeah, so I like that. I like they push the fire truck, the new fire truck into the firehouse by the crews. I like that. And then this last tradition is, so the retiree is leaving the station for the last time. He's on duty, he's retiring. Moments later, he walks out of the firehouse, and the crew, they start tossing his gear out the front bay door. They just throw, boots, helmet.
Oh, we did that. We did that with you. Yeah.
That's fine.
No. You didn't see it?
Yeah.
Everything was out on the front yard.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah. That's cool, though.
I like it, though.
Scram.
So those are some traditions of the fire service, and I'm going to save the superstitions for our next episode. We'll dive into that at the end of our next episode. We'll bring in the superstitions. That sound good?
Yeah, I like it.
It's been a great conversation. We've jumped around in a few segments here, but I think overall, I think that the firehouse is just an interesting place since there are tons of dynamics. I don't know that you can keep much of anything out of the firehouse if the guys and the girls can think it, they'll talk about it. Hopefully, there's some respect given on either side. It doesn't have to always divide us, but I think just having the conversations are healthy. They're good. And I think it's a good way to just keep your team together.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that, big of a division, but that's our thoughts on the whole matter. Phil, it was great to have you again, and we're going to see you next time on an episode of Original Firefighter.
Sounds good.
And
let's do this.
Yeah, we're going to do the Maraca handshake, the Gavin.
The Gavin.
Yeah. So thanks for listening and watching, and as always out there, be safe.